The Mamba mentality has left a mark. Shout out to the NBA legend, Kobe, and your daughter, Gigi. From Tom Brady to Drew Bledsoe, rain, sleet, or snow, I grind. I am clutch. I am the difference maker. I am the game changer.
Guys, welcome to another episode of the Game Changer Show, live with my man Cody. I'm the CEO of the Right Way Sports Network, Malik Wright. Guys, sorry we weren't on the show last week. Had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of crazy stuff going on. And Cody, it seems like we missed a lot of stuff as well.
We did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an electric week in sports. The national championship was great. We have NFL news. We have UFC stuff. I mean, just opening day in baseball. We have a lot going on. I'm excited. It's a great time of year. We got a great show ahead of us.
Absolutely, I agree. And, like I said, we have a lot to get into, a lot of stuff that we want to talk about today. But before we get into that, guys, make sure you guys follow us on the social medias down in the description below. It's always posted there. You can follow me and my man Cody on Twitter. Cody, you got a little boost of a following on Twitter this week too. I like to see that. You love to see that.
Yes, sir.
Follow TWSN. Follow TWSN YouTube channel. Follow the TWSN Instagram, Twitter, and so on and so forth, guys, as we continue to bring you guys great content here at the Right Way Sports Network. With that being said, guys, I want to jump right into it. We want to talk about Sam Darnold. Let's kick it off with the big news. All right. Sam Darnold was traded to the Carolina Panthers. And Cody, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you talk because you told me that you said, and I quote, "I cannot wait to disagree with you on the show." So, Cody, the floor is yours.
Okay. A lot of people are calling it, it's a win-win for both sides. This is a great trade. Like, everybody involved should be happy with what happened. Look, not every quarterback is a winner, right? And it is what it is. And you can throw all of the excuses you want for Sam Darnold, right? Oh, Adam Gase is a terrible head coach. He had no weapons in New York. The media market is awful to play in. They gave him no protection. His offensive line was terrible. The defense didn't give him any, great positions or any good starting field position. He was always starting in negative fields, this, that, and the other. I get it, right? I get it. You're making excuses for a guy who's 23 years old. He is still football young. But at the same time, he's played 3 years in the NFL. What has he improved upon since his rookie year? Has it been his decision-making? No, his turnovers have occurred year after year. Still fumbles the ball quite a bit. Does he have a absolute rocket of an arm that makes up for some poor decision-making? No. So he doesn't have that. Is he an athletic freak that, he can make plays outside of the pocket? Not really. No more so than any of the other, quarterbacks that are coming out. And everybody's praising the Panthers. It's like, they took a flyer on him, a second round pick. Like, you kind of know what you have. You've seen Sam Darnold for 3 years. And if that is what your bar for quarterback play is, and you go, well, they're happy with that. If that's what you're happy with, fine. You're just not going to win championships with that caliber quarterback play. I mean, when is the last time we've seen a below average or average quarterback win a Super Bowl? Joe Flacco with one of the greatest defenses we've seen in the Ravens. Explain, what am I not seeing here, Malik?
Are you done?
I'm done.
Cody, when I was on the Right Way show, I used to always have this thing where I would say before I really, really got, into my mode of debating and things of that nature, I would always say the butchering starts now. And it starts now. Cody, Listen, I cannot disagree with you anymore. The fact of the matter is, I feel like you're writing Sam Darnold off. Let me caution you. That is not something that I think is wise. That is not something that I would advise. and not something that I'm willing to do. The fact of the matter is, you have to ask yourself, listen, we could blame it on whoever, right? But we have to think about it. We have to think about it, in the right thanks, Brian. We have to think about it in the right sense, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is, who has Sam Darnold had around him that allowed him to grow as a quarterback?
No one.
What coach has he had around him that allowed him to grow as a quarterback?
The worst coach.
Right. So my point exactly. For every reason you can name why Sam Darnold doesn't work, I can name for a reason that Sam Darnold could work. We just saw a terrible quarterback. I don't want to say terrible. We saw a very overrated quarterback take a team to the Super Bowl because he had an offensive mastermind with him in Jared Goff, taking the LA Rams. So is Sam Darnold worse than Jared Goff? I don't think so. I think Sam Darnold has a lot of untapped potential. I think a lot of people are writing Sam Darnold off because he played for the New York Football Jets. That is one of the worst franchises to play for. They chew you up and they spit you out. They have a new starting quarterback every 4 years. So to simply just talk about what he did and talk about what he did in New York as if that should be what what his future is. I think that's wrong. We look at what Kevin Stefanski has done with a guy like Baker Mayfield, a guy who likes to turn the ball over a lot. Kevin Stefanski has completely changed the narrative on Baker Mayfield. I still think Baker Mayfield's trash. I still think Baker Mayfield sucks, but you know what? He masked a lot of his flaws. I mean, the fact of the matter is, good coaches, great coaches are able to help some of those quarterbacks unlock that potential. And the fact of the matter is, Sam Darnold was the number 3 overall pick for a reason. Sam Darnold, when he came out, he was getting compared to guys like Aaron Rodgers and so many different guys, so on and so forth. There is a reason why Sam Darnold was talked about the way he was talked about. He landed in a bad spot. Being a good quarterback in the NFL is all about where you land. He landed in one of the shittiest places he could absolutely land. He landed with the New York Football Jets. That's why his career has panned the way it has panned. And I'm sorry, if the Jets don't change their ways, if they don't learn from the error of their ways, Zach Wilson, the quarterback who they're going to draft, is going to be the same exact situation. I personally think Sam Darnold has more talent than Zach Wilson. I understand people being enamored with Zach Wilson. He's the new shiny toy. He's going to be the next guy. But let me explain something to you. It takes a good coach. It takes a good coach in an organization that is committed and willing to a player to say, hey, we're going to make this work. They did not do that for Sam Darnold. What did they say? We're not going to give you an offensive line. We're going to make it to this. We're going to have you seeing ghosts behind the offensive line. Your best receiver, Robbie Anderson, we're going to trade him away. That's what they did for him. That's what they did for their quote-unquote franchise quarterback. A consistent running back in the backfield? Nope, didn't get it. So in a COVID-filled year, where players were opting out left and right on their defense, you just decide to say, Sam Darnold's the issue. New York Football Jets, hear me out and listen to me closely. You have a lot of issues on your football team. And you had a lot of issues on your football team that started with Adam Gase. But I can name at least 10 issues that did not start with Sam Darnold, but you made this about Sam Darnold. Listen, I get it. New coach wants to come in. He wants his guy. Joe Douglas, new GM, wants his guy. I can respect that. But this narrative that Sam Darnold is just absolutely trash, it's ridiculous. And he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. Him, Joe Brady in Carolina, watch it work.
Fair. I disagree, but fair. Now, I do think Joe Brady is an incredible coach. I actually think Joe Brady is such a good coach that he will not be in Carolina for long. I think this will be his last year in Carolina as the offensive coordinator, and I think that there are plenty of franchises who will come calling in the offseason in 2022 to ask him to lead their franchise as a head coach.
Right.
That being said, the Jets have stunk. The Jets have stunk for a long time. And I think that organization has been poorly run for a while. I hope Robert Saleh can turn it around because I really do like Robert Saleh as a head coach. I think he brings some great energy to a franchise that desperately needs it. But my narrative with Sam Darnold, not only is it about Sam Darnold, but when have we seen this work? Right? Like when have we seen this work? Because I get the narrative behind. Okay, so Nick Foles won a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback behind what would have been.
Whoa, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Nick Foles was in a great system in Philadelphia. Nick Foles took the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl and beat the greatest quarterback of all time and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, the greatest quarterback and head coach duo. We can't take that away from him. Regardless, he went to a system where it fit his skill set and he performed.
He did that with a roster that was Super Bowl ready.
They were.
And led and had Carson Wentz putting up MVP.
Still,
he was an MVP front runner. The Panthers don't have one of the best rosters in football.
But they have an offensive mastermind. You don't think that they're going to add excuse me, you don't think that they're going to add talent in the draft? They have Robbie Anderson there already.
I agreed, but this isn't an elite roster by any means. And
no,
Sam Darnold, that is what you need to carry an average quarterback. You need elite pieces around him. The Panthers don't have that. And Sam Darnold is absolutely average.
Well, that creates a whole different argument of what is elite as well. But I personally, listen, hear me out. I just think that the narrative of Sam Darnold landed in a great spot with Joe Brady and not just Joe Brady, it's Matt Rule.
Matt Rule. But
go ahead. Sorry.
Sam Darnold reminds me a lot of another Sam Bradford. This is the same. Now, obviously, their play styles are different, but it's essentially the same thing where their welcome was worn out with the team that drafted him. They're going to get traded. They got traded for second-round picks. They're going to be okay for their franchise for 2 or 3 years. They're going to go to another team after that and then eventually fizzle off. And we're going to go, wow, the Panthers really traded a second-round pick for what? They're going to extend 2 more years of being they're not going to contend in their division. Tom Brady's there for the next 2 years. So,
but do you understand what I'm saying? Like it was well worth the risk. It was well worth the risk. Listen,
I
the
disagree.
guy had mono, missed several games and things of that nature. Why are we writing him off this early? What did he have with him in New York that allowed him to take his game to the next level? That's all I'm saying. Why are we so bullish on Sam Darnold being able to turn it around with a great offensive mastermind and Joe Brady and Matt Rule? Why are we so bullish to turn it on him turning it around?
What proves that he can?
What do you mean?
What's shown that he can?
He's going into his 4th year. He's going into his 4th year in the NFL after being the quarterback of a terrible organization with no offensive weapons. He's going with possibly the best back in the NFL and a great offensive mastermind and Joe Brady and Matt Rule that are going to be able to unlock that offense. The fact of the matter is Joe Brady going to be able to play competent football? Not Joe Brady. Is Sam Darnold going to be able to play competent football? I think Sam Darnold can play competent football. Can Sam Darnold offer what Baker Mayfield's offering? Hell yes, he can. Yes, he can. He can offer that. And if he does that, they win the trade. Why? Because that same exact Baker Mayfield team that we're talking about had a deep run with his team in the playoffs. And Sam Darnold can do that exact same thing.
Look, but Baker Mayfield doesn't turn the ball over like Sam Darnold does.
Before Kevin Stefanski, Baker Mayfield led the NFL in turnovers. He led the NFL in turnovers. But that was right up him and Jameis Winston led the NFL in turnovers. And that's including
not going to be able to
that's
coast
including
behind
interceptions.
Incredible offensive line.
You said, he's already got a pretty good offensive line in Carolina. He's got one of the best right tackles in football and Taylor Moton blocking for him. If they bring back Russell Okung, and it's a deep offensive line class. Listen, I'm just asking, Cody. Me and Cody, guys, just so you know, before we take a quick break. Listen, me and Cody have never really had a debate, and I like this. I enjoy having this debate with them right now. We said we were going to bring the fire for you guys. We said we were taking it easy on you guys the last few weeks, but this is something we really disagree on. I really disagree because I think Sam Darnold has a lot to offer a football team. My partner here doesn't think so.
I also think the opportunity cost that you gave up was also the wrong move, because you have the 8 overall pick, right? You were drafting at 8. What would it have cost you to get from 8 to 4? Because I'm telling you right now, if Justin Fields is at 4, the Panthers are going to regret this trade.
Let me ask you a question.
Absolutely going to sit there and regret this trade.
They might. Let me ask you a question. Are those guys? Listen, I understand every time a new quarterback comes in the league, it's the shiny new quarterback, right? I understand that. It happens literally every single year. If your quarterback is mediocre or not performing or you haven't seen enough of him, I don't think Sam Darnold's bad. I don't think we've seen enough of him. That's personally what I think. I don't think we've seen enough of him. We've seen him get benched. We've seen him out with mono freight games, and we've seen him also play great in some games. But let me ask you a question. Can you confidently say that any of those guys that they would have went up and picked over Sam Darnold would have been significantly better and ready to help your football team win right now. Can you honestly say that? I can't.
I think Justin Fields would be.
I
have Justin Fields as my number 2 quarterback in this class. I think he is.
But then it comes down to evaluation, right? Because it comes down to evaluation because maybe they didn't see him that way.
And that's fine. I think they're seeing it wrong. I don't believe in Sam Darnold. I don't think that he has.
What is your real gripe with him? What is your real? I feel like he might have broke your heart a couple of times in some college games.
Actually not. No,
really?
He played for because he played for USC, big rival in Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
And Notre Dame kicked the absolute crap out of them every time they played because Sam Darnold continually turned the ball over. And then he got to the NFL and he has shown no marketable improvement in that category. His decision-making, his arm, nothing has shown me what's gotten better. Now I understand coaching does play a huge role in that. Adam Gase is an absolute quarterback killer.
Let me go there. Let's go. Let's stay there. Let's stay there with Adam Gase.
Okay.
Let's stay there. Ryan Tannehill. Let's talk about Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill was in Miami with Adam Gase. Ryan Tannehill looked absolutely garbage. He looked like trash. Some even say he's still trash. Some even say he's overrated. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's trash. He's a game manager. Adam Gase leaves. I'm sorry, not Adam Gase. Ryan Tannehill leaves. I think they might have left at the same exact time. They both part ways. Ryan Tannehill goes to Tennessee with Arthur Smith. Voila. Now he's the ultimate team game manager. He's got his team playing the AFC Championship. They took the Baltimore Ravens out and this, that, and the third. All of a sudden, Ryan Tannehill looks like he's able to put it all together. That's a situation of coaching, right?
Okay.
That's a situation of coaching, getting the best out of a player. Sam Darnold, to me, has more talent in his pinky than Ryan Tannehill has in his. He does. So the fact is, Sam Darnold could very well, guys. Sam Darnold could very well go to the Carolina Panthers with Joe Brady, with Matt Rule, and absolutely light it up. All I'm saying is don't be shocked if he does it. I won't be. I won't be surprised. I'm actually expecting him to. I'm expecting him to turn a lot of heads. This is not to say that they're going to be in the Super Bowl next year, that they're going to even win the division. It's a tough division still. We're playing good football. I think he'll offer them more than Teddy Bridgewater did.
I think he offers more upside than Teddy Bridgewater.
Sure.
But at the same time, like if that's what you're shooting for, like, yes, he's better than Teddy Bridgewater. Great. So are 20 other quarterbacks in the
We're
league.
not doing that. I use that as an example. I'm saying you got to understand, Sam Darnold's skill set is going to play right into Joe Brady's offense's hand. I mean, that vertical offense, being able to stretch the ball deep down the field, Sam Darnold's got to get on. One of the best things he did at USC was be able to create off script, outside of the pocket, and create plays. And you saw flashes of that in New York. The problem is in New York, can I tell you, Cody? Can I tell you guys listening? He didn't have weapons. He didn't have guys getting open. He didn't have a number one wide receiver. The number one wide receiver, or I think is like a 2 personally, is Robbie Anderson. What happened? He got let go. Now, who was he paired up with again? Robbie Anderson. I mean, these are things that could very well happen. It could very well happen, guys. I'm just saying, don't be shocked if Sam Darnold puts it together. Don't be shocked if Sam Darnold looks like a different version of himself in Carolina than he did with New York. They're totally different situations. Totally different situations. Absolutely different situations. He'll even have a running game working for him. He'll have a running game.
I disagree, man. But
let me ask you
what's
this.
different
Let me ask you this. Do you can you understand where I'm coming from?
I do. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand the side that Sam Darnold. And is it a possible? Like it is a greater than 0% chance that Sam Darnold is successful in Carolina.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
If I were a gambling man, which I absolutely am, I'm going to put my money on the fact that he's not. What's different between Sam Darnold's situation and what Mitchell Trubisky was in?
Mitchell Trubisky
playing for
was
Matt Nagy, terrible offense.
Mitchell Trubisky was always awful, though. He was always awful. He was always awful. The fact that he even was drafted that high was comical. The dude played at NC. He was completely overdrafted. Look at
he was overdrafted, but he's still shown some NFL success.
Sure, in spots.
So Sam Darnold's shown it consistently.
Mitchell Trubisky is going to be the new. At least, goddamn it, Mitchell Trubisky had Allen Robinson. He had James Crowder. I'm just speaking facts here. He had Allen Robinson. He had Jimmy Graham. He had Anthony Miller.
Graham.
He's a pretty good tight end. Who's the tight end for the Jets?
Chris Herndon.
Who's the tight end?
Yeah, he's not great.
You see what I'm saying? It's like night and day, man. And then you have to also look at that defense that he had. He had that defense. That defense is still a top-tier defense. What is Sam Darnold have? Mitchell Trubisky's awful. Mitchell Trubisky's going to be the new – in time, Mitchell Trubisky will continue to progress and be a fine quarterback in this league. That I'm sure of. I'm sure he will be. Not a starter, a fine quarterback. He will be like the Ryan Fitzpatrick-esque, right? He'll get better with age. He'll get better with time. He'll be able to win you a couple of games in spots. He'll challenge that rookie quarterback, make you think that, we might have something in him. He might even get himself a couple contract extensions.
I think he's a great fit behind Allen, but
I thought it was weird, personally. I would have liked to see him land somewhere somewhere different. But I just don't. Sure. This is not me discounting what you're saying. I just personally thought it was a weird fit. Personally, I thought it was weird seeing him go there.
Yeah, I think he has a similar play style to Josh Allen in the fact that they both have big arms. They're both fairly mobile. They will both make plays outside of the pocket. But the fact that the epitome of like what we're saying, where a quarterback has transferred teams and become successful, the peak at what we're looking at is Ryan Tannehill, tells me everything I need to know about Sam Darnold.
We'll even see. So are you discounting that Carson Wentz is going to do well?
He played at an MVP caliber level. He's shown that he's been able to do it.
But he also played like one of the worst quarterbacks in football the last 2 years.
But he's shown something. Something.
So what I'm saying is,
I'm not saying
he absolutely fell off the rocker this year. He looked like trash, garbage, light a flame on him. That's what he looked like. So what you're telling me is because he's going to a new situation. And by the way, Carson Wentz was the worst starting quarterback statistically in football this year. So what you're telling me is if he says he's going to Indianapolis, there's no chance, right? We're talking about 2-3 years removed from that MVP caliber season when he tore his ACL, right? Before he tore his ACL. So are you telling me that Carson Wentz can't look good? It can't look good under a new system. Can't look like a new player in Indianapolis under Frank Reich. Is that what you're telling me?
No, he absolutely can. But so I would much rather have a conditional second that could be a first for Wentz than a second for Darnold.
But what we're arguing, what we're debating is guys switching teams, being able to put it all together again. And what I'm saying was, if you take Carson Wentz's situation, right? Because I can make the argument Carson Wentz has looked like absolute trash since those players that he had left. Right? Remember, he had Alshon Jeffrey, Alshon Jeffrey. He had Torrey Smith. He had Mike Wallace. He had all these different players he was throwing to and different things of that nature. You can make the argument that's why Nick Foles came in and looked as good as he did. Since then, Carson Wentz has looked like nothing. He's looked like he doesn't look good. He hasn't done anything, right? That's the argument. That's an argument right there, right? He has not done anything. Let's take away Carson Wentz's MVP season where they went out and signed 18 free agents that year, that offseason. Because remember, they went 4-12 the year before that. Before they won a Super Bowl. Let's say, for instance, Carson Wentz. We're just judging him off of his 3 years, his 3 seasons in Philadelphia. Are they similar to Sam Darnold's?
Yes, but you're not. Carson Wentz is a totally different player than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's worst season in the New York Football Jets does not compare to Carson Wentz's worst season with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the best seasons are also miles apart. Miles apart.
Sure, the best season is one plural. Well, there's one season. They haven't. It's not. It's Carson Wentz. Sure, he's going to in a system that you're betting on hope when you get these guys, right? You're hoping that they could put it all together, right? You talk about the Sam Darnolds of the world going to the Carolina Panthers, the Carson Wentz going to Indianapolis Colts, the Andy Daltons of the world going to the Chicago Bears. You're hoping that they could rekindle some form of being a fixable starting quarterback in the National Football League. You're not trading for these guys because they're top players, because if that was the case, you wouldn't be able to trade for them. The same thing with, it's.
I agree. I would much rather take a gamble on Justin Fields at 4 than I would at Sam Darnold with my second round pick.
Well, a lot like the quarterbacks in the NFL who don't get an opportunity to. I mean, it seems like that's the new growing trend where you have 3 years to prove that you're a top tier quarterback. These coaches are getting the same exact, length to prove themselves. So maybe they don't feel like they can sit behind a rookie, groom him for a year, waste a year, potentially tank again, and then have their job come into question. Maybe you want something that you could potentially fix. I think Sam Darnold gives you the best chance to win right now, personally, than drafting one of these guys. Cody, it seems like we're going to agree to disagree on this one, though.
Look, we'll have to. And when I go and around November and I'm sifting through the TWSN files and I find this video and I clip it and I will clip it. We'll come back to it.
I'm sure you will clip it because Cody loves proving Malik wrong. So all
the times I've been able to do it so far. So yeah.
Yeah. It's been a lot.
Show's young. It's young.
Show's young, right? We're learning. We're learning each other and we're growing. So I can appreciate it because, like I said, we bring the best out of one another. I want to keep the conversation going, though, my man. That's that. What did you think of San Fran trading up to the 3rd overall pick, man?
I mean, it is they are putting their chips in. They're going for a quarterback, and they have to feel really confident in the guys that are going to be available at 3. Trevor Lawrence is obviously gone. He's going to be gone at 1. And it seems like the presumption is that Zach Wilson is going to go at 2. And while he is not my second quarterback on my imaginary board that I don't have written down anywhere, I can see why. The arm talent is there. There's certainly questions about, the schedule, and he's only been able to do it for a year. So I understand it. But I think that there is certainly going to be some talent there. I think 5 quarterbacks will go in the top 10 this year. I think that is certainly not out of the question. I think that San Francisco is going to be able to get who they want at 3. And I'm excited to see what Kyle Shanahan can do with a quarterback that is different than what he's been able to work with in the past. In Matt Ryan in Atlanta, he's had Kirk Cousins in Washington. I think if he's trading up, I think he's going to get a guy who can move outside the pocket a little bit, be a little bit more dynamic, and really allow him to open up that playbook, because there are pages that he's had in the back waiting for a guy who's not the Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins statue pocket passer prototype quarterback.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, and you and me we might make up for lost time here. We might make up for not agreeing on things. Are you saying you don't believe the Mac Jones to San Francisco hype, or are you? Yeah, bullshit. Say it.
It's bullshit.
What we're unfiltered. We're unfiltered on the Game Changers show, guys. This is what I like to hear.
If you are going to give up that much draft capital for a guy who doesn't do anything differently than what you currently have available, why are you doing it? And I understand that Mac Jones is talented, and this is not hating on Mac Jones. I think he certainly has the capability to be special in this league if drafted into the right system, like any quarterback. Mm-hmm. But if you're telling me they moved all the way up to 3, why? Because nobody else was. Nobody else is moving up to 3 to get Mac Jones. You could have. The Dolphins were obviously willing to trade back up to 6, so the Eagles were willing to trade at 6. Why would you not trade up for 6 at Mac to get Mac Jones? It would have cost you certainly less draft capital. So personally, this might be very hot takey, whatever. Mm. I think they are going to draft Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is the pick at 3. I think in what he was able to do in North Dakota in a pro style offense, I think Kyle Shanahan is going to value that. I think the transition is going to be fairly easy for Trey Lance. I know that a lot of people think that he's a raw prospect there's not a ton of tape out there on him, and I get that. But if you are looking for a guy with upside at that 3 spot, I think Trey Lance has a phenomenal ceiling. Ceiling.
Cody, respond to that. I want to let you respond to that comment.
Trey Lance is Mitch Trubisky 2.0. And quite frankly, I don't agree even in the slightest. Their play styles are totally different. Trey Lance had 1 turnover in college. 1. In an FCS national championship winning season. Now, say what you want about FCS competition, right? It's not incredible. But he's not playing backyard football either. Like, there is some NFL talent on those rosters. I mean, there is a North Dakota State's left tackle is going to be a day 2 pick, right? There's certainly some talent there. Trey Lance is a phenomenal athlete. I believe he had, I'm looking it up now, but his rushing statistics were also incredibly impressive. Right? So comparing him, I understand that Mitchell Trubisky is athletic. He is not Trey Lance by any means. And Trey Lance in 2019, he only played 1 game last year. 20 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, not 1, 0. He takes care of the football, and that is it. He had 15 attempts for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns in the 1 game that he played this year. So if you're asking me who is he more like, he's much more like Josh Allen than he is Mitchell Trubisky. Big body, can run, can throw. He might be the closest thing that an NFL offense can get to Lamar Jackson from a athletic standpoint. Now, there is no duplicate of Lamar Jackson by any means. But if you want the most athletic quarterback we've seen in the last 10 years outside of Lamar Jackson, it's Trey Lance. I think he is a special physical talent. It is going to be putting together all of the intangibles. What better coach to do that under than Kyle Shanahan? If that's the pick at 3, I would not be shocked. His over-under right now for his draft position on FanDuel is currently 7.5. I am taking that under. I think he will be drafted within the first 7 picks.
So, I'm going to get to 2 points. John, my man, John is always supporting us. John, you know you're my guy, man. You're a fellow Bengals fan, but I got to address you real quick. I hate when people use the narrative that quarterbacks, because of the school that they went to, same could be said for LSU. When was the last successful NFL quarterback that went to LSU? Jamarcus. Wait,
you're not calling Jamarcus Russell an NFL success?
Oh, not at all, man. I'm talking about the guy who got film tape and they said, you know the classical story. Hey, watch the film. Tell us your favorite plays. Looks at it. Oh, I like them all, coach. It was the film was blank. Talk about a wasted draft pick, but we're not going to get into that. I just wanted to address that, John. Never judge a quarterback based off of judge a quarterback based off of the school that they attended. We see a lot of players breaking the norm. Before Carson Wentz, if you want to consider his season successor, Josh Allen, I can't name the last Wyoming. Love you too, John. I can't name the last great Wyoming quarterback. And Josh Allen's playing like at a ridiculous level. Texas Tech too. I don't know, before Patrick Mahomes. So never always judge the prospect, never the school they went to. But I want to talk about Mac Jones for a second. And then I'm gonna address the San Francisco 49ers as well. And this is me coming with respect as a Crimson Tide fan. My fellow Crimson Tide fans, you guys probably won't like to hear me say this. Roll Tide to you though. I mean this in the most respectful, disrespectful way I could say it. I don't know why in the hell. I don't understand why in the hell. I'm trying to visualize why Mac Jones is even being discussed as a first-round pick, as a second-round pick. The guy played behind the best offensive line in football in Alabama, right? He played with ridiculous talent
Notre Dame's the best offensive line in college football, but continue.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Leave it to Cody to fact check me. He's probably right. I appreciate it. I need it every now and then. But no, in all seriousness, listen, you look at it, these guys, listen, I don't understand where people are coming from saying Mac Jones is a first-round pick. The guy's not a first-round pick. And this is me watching every single game of him. I'm not some fake scout. I've scouted quarterbacks. Quarterback's one of my favorite positions to scout. And it makes it that much easier when I'm a fan of the team and I'm watching the games live. I'm here to tell you, Mac Jones is not a first-round pick. He's not a first-round pick. Let alone he ain't a top 3 overall. He's not a top 5. If you ask me, if you're asking me, I wouldn't draft Mac Jones to the 3rd round. That's the God's honest truth. I would not take a chance on him until the 3rd round. This is bullcrap. Everyone's saying, oh, he's a first-round pick. He's locked in. Kyle Shanahan, let me tell you something, brother. You've had one successful season since you became the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Albeit it was a great, successful season. You took them to the Super Bowl. But you've had one winning season. That has been the difference between you being looked at as an offensive mastermind and you being talked about on the hot seat. You draft Mac Jones, your seat is on flames. You draft Mac Jones, you're playing with fire. You draft Mac Jones, I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not an upgrade from Jimmy Garoppolo. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
There's not like when you are drafting, you need somebody who does something exceptional. If you are drafting in the top 10, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you're looking for. You want something extraordinary.
Right.
What does Mac Jones do extraordinary?
Logan brought up a good point. He said, nobody brings up his 2 DIs. I'm not going to bring up his 2 DIs because I think that's going low. What I'm going to say is Kyle Shanahan should be given an alcohol test if they draft Mac Jones 3rd overall. You're talking about a damn guy you could have in the 3rd round, the 2nd round. And you're drafting him 3rd overall. Are you kidding me? Could you imagine the outburst that the fan base is going to get? Yeah. That'll be worse than the Bears drafting Mitchell Trubisky. It'll be awful, terrible.
Some of the offseason narratives that we get around these quarterbacks, because the time between the end of college football and the draft, we have so much that goes on that like opinions are changed more often.
Running rampant.
It's ridiculous. And the narratives that are built. No, Justin Fields doesn't make it to his 2nd read. Justin Fields is meant to, does he love the game of football? Like why? How are you bringing that up? Like what is that? Why is that even in discussion when you are evaluating a guy like this? Like evaluate his play on the field. And then when you because these players are interviewed by all of these teams,
right?
You are making those discussions then. Absolutely nowhere is that being brought up. The 2 DUIs is like, while it's concerning, there's nothing that like from a character issue standpoint that has carried over from college to NFL that if you did your homework, you did not see.
Preach, right? Cody. You did your homework.
Good teams do that. Good teams do that. Good executives do that. Nobody is going to go and be like, oh, wow, I totally forgot. Like NFL teams are not going to forget.
Cody, stop for 1 quick second. Give a hand clap. Kevin Durant just scored his first points back after being gone for 2 months. Welcome back, KD. Welcome back.
Best scorer in basketball.
Yes, absolutely. The best score I've ever seen. But continue, Cody. Sorry about that.
The thing that narratives are so overplayed at the quarterback position, and it gets under my skin because you get these hit piece articles that are like, we're so enamored by these prospects because they're at the top of our draft boards week after week after week that we try to find kinks in the armor. Right. And I just don't think that is something that good talent evaluators don't do.
I mean, you're literally hearing the BS coming out. Like if you tell me, for instance, it's like, yo, Penei Sewell, the best left tackle prospect we've seen in generations, in years, and all of a sudden, he has character issues. He has short arm. Shut up. We haven't seen the guy play for a year. You're hearing all this crap come out because guess what? A lot of talking heads in our industry, in the media, they need to come up with narratives. They have to find stuff to talk about for months and weeks and days on end. Listen, It is what it is. If you find stuff out about a player throughout the process, you find stuff out about the player throughout the process. But to simply dissect, you're talking about one of the most important moments in some of these players' lives, such pivotal moments in some of these players' lives. You choose to dissect and try to take away from what could be a glorious occasion from an amazing spot just to fill a headline. It's bullcrap. It's unnecessary and it's unprofessional. I mean, hearing some of the stuff that I've heard, well, like you said, Justin Fields, we don't know if he loves football. What?
Yeah, it's crazy. And while we're on like some of the draft coverage, just crap that
we're gonna keep this going. There's more stuff I want to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
Why? We see this every year around draft time. Mm-hmm. Why do we have to bring up every bad thing that has ever happened in a player's life that like is related to family or friends? Or when you're covering a guy, it's like, this guy is incredible. In his 3 years at the University of Notre Dame, he has had a PFF score of 90 plus. His mother had breast cancer and fought through it, and his dad was an abusive alcoholic. He plays phenomenal at the safety position. Why do we do that? Why is that brought up for every player every night? Like, his pet hamster died 3 days ago.
Right.
And he is finding the strength to be here with us today.
Let's talk about a fact. Because I see my friend Brian is an avid football fan. He's one of my favorite people to talk to because he's very knowledgeable when it comes to football. He's also a fellow Ravens fan, so we always butt heads. And he's my buddy that we go to games with. So that's my guy, Brian. But Brian, you said Fields throwing iffy. Let me tell you something, brother. There are a lot of players in this draft. Let me rewind it. There is no perfect prospect in this draft.
In any draft.
In no draft. There's no perfect prospect. Everybody has their things. I mean, look, they don't talk about it because he's looked at as the golden boy right now, but Trevor Lawrence isn't a perfect prospect. He isn't a perfect prospect by no means. I still have questions about him. I personally still have questions about it. I still want to know if he could lead an NFL football team, especially one out of the gutters. It's easy to go to Clemson, one of the top premier programs in college football, in a weak conference. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, every game I've seen, I haven't seen Trevor Lawrence make any jumps and strides since his freshman year. That's a conversation nobody wants to talk about. I've seen him look terrible in games. Syracuse, Carolina game, Ohio State game. To me, he wasn't head and shoulders above the. I mean, this is supposed to be the year that they were supposed to give Trevor Lawrence the Heisman Trophy on a silver platter. And maybe if he didn't get COVID, maybe he would have won. I don't know. But he wasn't that impressive. I didn't see a huge jump from Trevor Lawrence from last year to this. I just didn't see it. I don't see what people see in Trevor Lawrence personally. I think he's going to be a fine prospect. He's going to be a fine quarterback, but I still have questions about him leading a bad football team, because if you're picking number 1 overall, you're a bad football team. I still have questions about him leading a team out of the gutters. That's just me, though.
Yeah, it's something that everybody, like Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver since. Penei Sewell is the best offensive tackle since. I get it, right? Because you have to have something to talk about, and comparisons are fun. But these guys are their own prospects. They all have something to work on. If players were at their prime in the NFL or in college, why have coaches in the NFL?
Absolutely.
Right? Learning still happens long after you are walking across that stage.
And I'll say it again. There is no such thing as a perfect prospect, guys. No perfect prospect exists. There is no such thing as it. So you're going to hear all these narratives coming out. Kyle Pitts is the greatest tight end in NFL. Relax. Like, there's so much more. I could talk about Kyle Pitts' blocking. It's awful. It's atrocious. Nobody wants to talk about it, though. There's so much. Cody.
If you're using Kyle Pitts, if you draft Kyle Pitts and use him to block, you should be fired. So why would you have your best offensive weapon block? That seems really stupid.
Potentially your best offensive weapon. It's potentially your best offensive weapon.
Potentially.
Because they're like, oh, he's going to come into the league right away and potentially be the best tight end in football. And I'm like, we'll see. We got to calm down on it a little bit real quick. I mean, somebody said the disrespect that Devontae Smith has been getting is insane. Is it? I mean, I don't think Devontae Smith has been getting disrespected. I think, let's be real, without the Heisman Trophy season, this is right where he would have been. Like, this is right where he would have, like, maybe not this high, but I mean, like, if Jamar Chase would have played this year, maybe not, because the LSU was terrible, had terrible quarterback play. But make no mistake about it, Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in this draft. Jamar Chase is the best. I don't know who needs to hear it, but Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in this draft. Do I think he runs a 4.38? No. I think that number is severely gassed, personally, even when you're watching him, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's about how he breaks in and out of his routes. It's about how he's able to win those contested jump balls. But Jamar Chase is not a speedster. That's just my personal opinion. But I think because of the way because of his style of play and his ability, he's such a threat with the ball in his hands afterwards. I think that's where you start to see the defenses respect him. The corners give him that coverage. And the guy can beat press coverage too. The guy can beat press coverage. I know that was one of the narratives. Oh, he can't beat press coverage. That's a lie. He can do it. I've seen him do it. I watched every single game of Jamar Chase in his college career. Every single game. The guy's good. He's only going to get better. He did it at 19 years old, going up against future NFL cornerbacks. And he's only getting better. He's only at 19 years old. He's only getting stronger, faster, more athletic. So the narrative out there that Jamar Chase is, this, that, and the third, and Devontae Smith isn't better than him. Jalen Waddle's not better than him. Name your receiver out there, not better than Jamar Chase in this draft class. That's just my honest opinion. I don't know where you stand though, Cody.
I mean, a lot of people worry about the underwear Olympics, like it's some sort of end all be all. Like
the underwear Olympics, I love it.
Testing is great, but it's only that.
Yeah.
It's testing, right? Like as if you are listening, I'm sure at some point in your life you have failed a test. Like, congratulations. That does not mean you are a failure, right?
Right.
Same with the NFL. We've seen phenomenal players test greater, and you use it to evaluate, but it is not the end all be all. And the hate on Devontae Smith, I understand it, but it's because people are picking on one of the better prospects in the draft, right? You, as fans of sports, we like to do two things. We like to bring the good down, and we like to push the bad up, right? Mm-hmm. We love things in a medium, right? We hate the Patriots because they're phenomenal, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody, they talk about guys like, oh, but the potential is there if he underperforms. Right? We do that all the time. Devontae Smith is up here. Everybody's trying to bring him back down to reality, talking about his weight, talking about this. At the end of the day, it is what it is because it's sports. If we were to talk about Devontae Smith going in 20, people would be like, oh, it's have you seen his Heisman, the way he breaks out of routes, his work ethic? It's incredible. I get it, right? Mm-hmm. I get it. It's another thing to talk about. Malik, speaking of things to talk about, what else we got in the world of sports? I know. Did you watch the national championship for basketball?
Before we get into that, I just really want to touch on something really quickly. I made a promise to a few people. It's a situation I personally wanted to stay away from for quite some time because to me, I felt like I wasn't just ready to speak on it just yet. But somebody has asked me to give my opinion. They want to hear my take on the Deshaun Watson fiasco, and I think that I'm finally going to do it. Cody, you're more than welcome to give your opinion if you want. You don't have to, brother, but I'm going to give my opinion. I think it's a very extremely delicate situation, first and foremost. And I think that everybody should wait to hear both sides of the story. I think we should allow it to play out. I think it's an unfortunate situation, though. I mean, anytime you're hearing that somebody who's supposed to be an ambassador, who kids look up to, you're hearing some of these horrifying stories come out. It's very challenging for me because Deshaun Watson is one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. I literally think the guy's Superman when he's out there. And I think I was very dismissive. I have to check myself. I think I was very dismissive earlier on when a lot of these situations, when a lot of these stories came out and stuff like that. Obviously, with his big dispute going on with the Houston Texans, it's easy to say that this is an inside job. And, I have a mother, I have a sister, aunts and things of that nature, a lot of females in my life who I care very deeply for. All I could say is that I hope and pray that this situation gets resolved and we get down to the bottom of it. I hope and pray that the things that are coming out about Deshaun Watson, you see a lot of people like Nike and Beats by Dre parting ways with him and stuff like that today. I'd like to think that Deshaun Watson is above that. But there is one question that I have, Cody, my man. One question that I have. And it's something that I just can't seem to shape. and a friend of mine brought it up. He said, Malik, you know, you go out, you get maintenance, right? You get your hair cut. I said, yeah. He said, how many barbers do you have? I have one guy that I go to. I said, exactly. That's what makes the situation so very, very, a very tough one. I mean, we're talking about over 20 women now coming out saying this thing. And I like, again, I'm not here to say somebody's guilty, because I think everybody deserves their day in court. I genuinely believe that. But it makes it very, very challenging to defend him. And I certainly understand this situation. Well, I don't understand, but I can see the situation that Deshaun Watson's in, and why it must be challenging for many other people to to side with him as well on it. I am still going to stay within the middle, but I am saying that is a question that I'd like to hear from Deshaun Watson, because to me, I don't think it's normal. I mean, it's normal to change. Masseuse is obviously a professional athlete. Obviously, you're probably but over 20, I don't know. Cody, it's up to you if you want to speak on it, brother.
I'm going to keep it brief. I think you did a really good job of saying kind of where football fans should be is do not jump to conclusions one way or the other, because this is not resolved.
Right.
I don't like jumping on either the players' back or the women, the victims' back early, because that is, I think it's a bad thing to do that can lead to regret on both sides. Right. That being said, it is unfortunate that things like this do happen, whether it is true or not. I'm hoping that regardless of what happens, that either Deshaun gets the help that he needs, or the women get the help that they need in order to get through this situation. Because it's not great. And it doesn't matter if it was 1, if it was 20. My stance on situations like this has always been, he should be prosecuted in whatever the court decides. I don't care if he is the greatest player in the history of the Texans franchise, or the backup offensive lineman for the Seattle Seahawks. When situations like this happen, they need to be handled the same way. I do not care your fame. I do not care how your status should not determine how the NFL treats this from a standpoint either. Right. I don't care how good at football you are. So I hope that either way, when this gets resolved, the victims, whatever side it is, get the help that they need. So on to some other sports topic, because I think that is a good spot to leave it. Malik, where did you watch the national championship game, the Final Four? Did you get the excitement that I felt? How did you?
I did watch the national championship game. I cannot say that I watched the Final Four, because I widely anticipated Gonzaga to be in it along with Baylor. That being said, Gonzaga was pushed to the brinks, man, in that the semifinal. I mean, it was very very startling to see them on their heels, and it made me think. I was like, you know what, Baylor might be able to pull this game. I'm talking into the game before the championship game. I'm like, I'm not sure. They're not. It seemed like they had a little bit of chink in their armor. Like you kind of like, they were kind of exposed that if you can jump out to a big lead on them and you're able to sustain that lead, you can knock them off. That's what I thought. And so when I saw Baylor jump out to the huge lead on them, and then plus that minus that put together with your tweet where you said black
Baylor
jerseys,
in the all black.
They're on the all black jerseys. The jerseys matter. Jerseys certainly do matter, and they mattered that night. So I mean, well done for Baylor. Great job for Baylor. I was happy to see an underdog, if you want to call them that, I guess. I mean, they were definitely an underdog, but they were still one of the 2 best teams in the country.
In a crazy year with COVID and all the restrictions, games getting canceled, and schedules being changed, I think we got a chance to see the 2 best teams in the country play each other in the national championship, which is always what everybody roots for a Cinderella, but we always want to see a great championship game. Unfortunately, it wasn't as close as we liked, but I think we were also very spoiled in that Final Four game going into overtime with UCLA and Gonzaga ending a game on a shot like that. That is every kid in the driveway's dream, when you're putting up a shot 3-2-1, having it bank in like that. So that is going to be a highlight that is going to be replayed for years, years and years and years. But it was fun to watch. Look, the black jersey tweet. Follow me at Smash Hit Sports on Twitter if you don't, because you get incredible sports content like that.
He's the man.
Baylor cashing in +4.5. Love to see it for the old FanDuel account. But look good, feel good, play good, man. It's science. You can't tell me it's not.
Right.
Can't tell me it's not. So
they had their swagger back, and I was like, oh, hey, I said, all right, this team is they're rocking right now. I'm not gonna say I was shocked, but I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie to you. Seeing Baylor jump out to that huge lead, and it seems like Gonzaga, they didn't have an answer. It seems like they just don't play well from behind.
Yeah, and a team that they always had a run. Like Gonzaga was always able to make a run. They never did.
But here's the thing.
Never made a run.
Here's the thing. They weren't battle tested, so therefore they weren't war ready, if that makes sense. Baylor was battle tested. Baylor's been in overtime games. Baylor was battle tested, right? They've had games that come down to the wire and things of that nature. And Gonzaga's always blowing teams out by 15, 20. They weren't really battle tested. So when they jumped in there and they got off, they had a huge lead on them. It made sense, right? I mean.
And I think Gonzaga had the narrative too, of the perfect season, which kind of looms over your shoulder a little bit. But Baylor covered in every single game of the tournament except for the first one against Hartford with a 25-point spread. So it's interesting to while everybody's like, oh yeah, Gonzaga is incredibly dominant going into this game, like Baylor was good, and nobody was beating Baylor on Monday night. But Malik, college basketball aside, do you take into account schedules when you're going and in college football or even in the NFL, some divisions are certainly stronger than others. Do you take into account schedule? Hey, they haven't been tested yet, or that?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think that plays such an important factor.
I think about, I always go back to football references, right? I go back to the Giants versus the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl in 2007, or you can even say 2011 when they went up against them. If you look at those Giants football teams had no business being in there with the New England Patriots. They had no business being in that dogfight with them, right? But the fact of the matter is, because they were so battle tested, because they went through these close games, because they had to climb out of tough spots, when they faced New England Patriots, who weren't used to doing that, right? In one of the years, the New England was undefeated. New England didn't know how to react. They're so used to being up. So it was a different feeling for them, right? It's a little less confident. The Giants were confident. They're we've been in this spot before. We know what to do. We know we're going to knock it out of the park. We just know we've had that confidence. But when you have never been battle tested, that's in anything in life, guys. That's in anything in life. If you've not been battle tested, let's say, for instance, I don't know what the analogy I'm going to use here, Cody, but I'm going to pull something out of thin air. Let's say, for instance, you have you have to work with somebody at work that you never had to work with before. You're not used to working with somebody who you've never worked with before, so to speak. But you have the other guy who does well with, working with people that are on the fly, for instance. He might have a little bit more success than you are because you're in uncharted territory. You're used to working alone. You're used to get things done on your own. So, I mean, you could pull out so many different analogies, and I think that was a very crucial one, for Gonzaga, and I think that was their downfall. It's crazy, right? The thing that made them so dominant was the thing that made them vulnerable. It's insane.
Yeah,
insane.
The Achilles heel.
Absolutely. There's, let's talk some NBA really quickly, really briefly. Kevin Durant's back. Durant's back for the New York, for the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sorry. I always want to call them Jersey because I grew up a fan. But the Kevin Durant's back, AD and LeBron. Let me ask you this. Do you think let me phrase this question correctly. Do you think the Nets are the favorites to win the NBA champion? I'll put it to you that way. I was trying to phrase it a certain way, but do you think the Nets should be the favorite to win the NBA championship? You figure they had guys like Blake Griffin, right? They got Kevin Durant back. You want to say that? They got they should have had James Harden back the other day, but I know he went out again with a strained hamstring. Do you think that they're the team to beat, or do you still think that the Lakers with AD and LeBron and now Andre Drummond, right? Do you think that they're the team?
It's the Lakers. More specifically, it's LeBron. And it's LeBron, and it's still going to be LeBron. LeBron has been the team to beat for the last 15 years. And obviously he had the down year 2 years ago, but that team was not ready to compete for a championship. It's LeBron. The NBA Finals and to get a ring in today's NBA, it runs through LeBron James. You have to be better than a LeBron James led team in order to get a ring, and you have to do it 4 nights. I don't think until a team can show me that, LeBron is going to be the favorite.
The Warriors looked great for a couple of years before everything just went out. It was also awesome to see Steph back out there again too as well. Yeah.
I miss Clay, man. The Splash Brothers are fun. Say what you want about like hating the Warriors, but like I love me some good basketball, and that is some fun basketball to watch when Klay Thompson's healthy. So
you're a Splash Brothers guy?
No, I'm a Pacers fan, all right, but I have to look forward to like some exciting offense because the Pacers run like
had a good game. You
we're
guys
gonna play
good
good defense and beat you by.
You guys are beating the brakes off the Timberwolves tonight with the less than healthy team now. So
that's Timberwolves, but I love good basketball. Like I loved watching the Popovich led Spurs when they had Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker. Like that was so fun to watch. That's why I will hate on LeBron, but I love watching LeBron play because he plays great basketball.
Yes.
Like not only is he a incredible athlete, the spacing, the passing, the things that make it's an art the way he does it. So I'm a fan of good basketball. That's why I hate Houston.
I love that Brian is asking the good questions tonight. I was literally talking with someone about this. I can see a scenario where Curry next summer joins the Los Angeles Lakers. And everybody's like, oh, Malik, you're just saying that because you're a LeBron fan. But wouldn't it make sense? Him and LeBron had so much fun playing with each other during the All-Star week. And if Curry, the fact of the matter, if the Warriors have lost their magic, so to speak, let's say Klay doesn't come back as the same player next season, for instance, it's going to be an easy decision for Steph. It's not like he's tied to the organization. He'll be an unrestricted free agent. If he wants to join the Los Angeles Lakers, AD and LeBron, it's a no-brainer. And it's not like it's something he's totally against, right? He had KD join him. Yep. They also were trying to recruit LeBron that one year where he was a free agent. So like it's not out of the realm of possibility. Could you imagine who beats Steph Curry, LeBron, and AD? Nobody.
You don't. And like the thing that I love about college basketball is the parity that the NBA doesn't have. Yeah. But at the same time, that would be incredible basketball to watch. That would be basketball at the highest level because Steph Curry is a phenomenal playmaker, not only the greatest shooter that we have ever seen. So it would be something that would be exciting to watch, but it would kind of be like, okay, I'll watch him, I'll watch him when they play the good teams and I'll watch them in the finals. But I don't think it's great for the NBA because I think the NBA does need a little bit of parity because I think that star talent is so good. But
once LeBron gets to 6 for me, I don't care what happens after that.
Fair.
Once he dethrones everyone's fake GOAT in Michael Jordan, I don't care what happens after that. I don't care. That's the only thing. That's the only knock. I think that's why I root for the guy so much because he gets so much hate. Even with the Space Jam commercial coming out, then the Space Jam 2 commercial, he gets so much hate.
We're going to talk about that too.
Oh my God, we got to, right? But the guy gets so much hate on a regular basis, and it's because the fact of the matter is people cannot resonate with successful things that have been sustained success. LeBron has been sustained, has been in his prime, you could say, right? I mean, clearly he's not the same athlete he was when he was with Miami and things of that nature. But LeBron's prime has lasted his entire career.
It's not relatable. That sort of success is not relatable. And it's kind of like how I said earlier, like we as sports fans like to tear the great down and build up the fallen. Like we love to tear down LeBron because we haven't seen success like this before.
Right.
And that's why like it's so how am I supposed to relate to LeBron, man? He has been so successful at every single thing that he's done. And I think I'm a pretty successful dude, like for the most part, but I ain't no damn LeBron. I'm not the LeBron James of engineering. I'm not the LeBron James of sports talk or Twitter or whatever. Like
I might be. I might be the
LeBron James of Bengals Twitter, certainly. But it's crazy.
Shout out to the Reds too for tweeting at me today. I appreciate it.
Bro, that's love. Cool. You'd love to see it.
I'm not a baseball guy, but I said afterwards I might be a Reds fan now. I might be a Reds fan.
Hop on, man. They're fun.
Why not, right? I mean, they look pretty damn good today. Last thing I'm going to say, do you want to touch on the Space Jam? What do you think? I'm not going to watch it personally. I don't care for Space Jam. I didn't like it when Michael Jordan was in it because I didn't watch it. Primarily, and also I'm not a big Jordan guy, but I'm probably not going to watch it either with LeBron in it either. It just, to me, it's Space Jam is not something that really.
I'm excited for it. We haven't had a good sports movie in a while. I need a good sport. I love a good sports movie, like the Longest Yard, like Friday Night Lights, Coach Carter, like some of the sports, because that's what I grew up as a kid watching. Like, I love good sports movies, so I hope it's great. You love me I love a good underdog sports story. We'll see. They need to do a good job of making LeBron seem like an underdog, because that's going to be one of the toughest things ever.
Right.
Like, when has LeBron ever been an underdog? So, but I'm excited.
He's going against the Warriors then.
Okay, and all of America was hating on KD and Steph and that squad. So
the snakiest move you've ever seen. But
I'm excited for it. But Malik,
last thing I want to say to you before, but unless you better say something to me, but I want to say 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks. Before we get to see the decapitation of Kamaru Usman, and we get to see Jorge Masvidal, Jorge Masvidal, game bread, take the welterweight championship from Kamaru Usman. I am so here for it. I'm so excited for it.
UFC coming, man. We got NFL draft coming. I'm excited. We got more sports ahead, man. It's great.
Yes. We got also a UFC show starting next Thursday night, live on the Right Way Sports Network's YouTube channel. We have Strikes and Submissions show with Dorian Wright and Michael Daly, our 2 MMA experts here at TWSN. When I say I'm jazzed for them, I am excited for these guys because they work so hard. They work incredibly hard at their craft, and they work incredibly hard to make sure they get the stories out, the most compelling stories out, as quick as possible. And they do a great job of it. And this is something that we've been working on for quite some time with them. But to see it all come together and see it all, it's all come to fruition.
Seen ever since it started in the group chat, I've been excited to watch, and they're going to do a phenomenal job because like you said, their content that they create right now is incredible. And I am sure that this is going to be absolute fire as well. So
passion is undeniable.
Said, man, TWSM, we got shows. We'll have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
The soccer sit down debuts this week. On Saturday, if you're a football fan, not a football fan, and you like soccer, Christian DeBlock, Max Marer, Joe Camarota, like they are coming out with a pretty cool soccer live show that you can catch here on the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel as well. We've got the Right Way Sports Network's weekly recap show coming back this upcoming Friday. It's a lot going on. Run the Clock is going to be back on Monday. And we're jazzed up for the Right Way show on Tuesday nights, Game Changers on Wednesday nights, On the Ball on Friday night. I mean, it's here, man. It's here. And I'm excited for it because these guys put in a lot of work and they deserve everything that is coming, all the success that is coming to TWSN. And Cody, I know I say it to you often. I love working with you, man.
Oh, it's great. It's great, man. Even when we have a little back and forth, it's what makes it great. I love working with you.
I was waiting
for fun. We needed one. I can't wait. Can't wait because we got more coming.
Absolutely. Well, guys, make sure you guys follow us, like we said, on our social media handles. Links down below in the description. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the TWSN YouTube channel. Stay up to date with all these shows that we've got coming out. We've got a lot more content coming out with you guys. And join me and Cody here each and every single Wednesday night. Sometimes we're joined by Alexis, who's our moderator. Whenever we need her, like whenever we need her
we could have used one.
It might be Lex. We might need you soon. But join us every single Wednesday night as Cody and I continue to change the game of sports through talk and conversation. Cody, it was great, my man. We will see you guys next week live on the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. We hope you enjoyed it. We're out.
The marathon continues. The Mamba mentality has left a mark. Shout out to the NBA legend, Kobe, and your daughter, Gigi. From Tom Brady to Drew Bledsoe. Rain, sleet, or snow, I grind.